Hi, welcome to my channel. It's me, Cindy. Who else would it be, right? I hope you're all doing well. I've had kind of an interesting weekend, and I've shared a couple videos on my channel of just some sort of nature experiences. The first one that I shared on the channel was it was the sky, and it was really interesting because it didn't seem that profound to me at the time. I just thought it was sort of an interesting exercise in terms of, focusing on something outside of what you would normally be distracted towards, and just kind of look at the sky and listen to the sounds around you. But then I watched the video and I had my own quite profound experience, because when I was recording the video, I wasn't really looking at the screen. I was trying to make sure, there's something there, but it was bright out. So, you can't really see the screen very well when you're recording. So I had to go back and watch it kind of like everyone else did. And I had like a really weird experience. So it was almost like a level of awakening that happened to me in that video. And that's what's leading us into what is about to be a reading. But before we even get to that reading, it's quite important that I sort of share a lot of background information about sort of what happened to me and what I really felt connected to from something from my past, from a long time ago. And then I've got a whole bunch of cards pulled out here. I was asking about this energy that I'm about to get into. Just, you're looking at the title and you're wondering, the cloud people, who are the cloud people, Cindy? So how about we start with that? I would say when I was about, I want to say between the ages of 7 and 10, I used to have an experience at night when I was sleeping where I guess I wouldn't have known how to articulate it or what to label the experience as. I knew it wasn't a dream, but I didn't really have any words to describe what I was experiencing. So, but now as an adult, I would describe it. I wouldn't actually describe it as an out-of-body experience. It almost felt like going to like a different dimension or crossing over some sort of threshold. And it would always happen at night when I was asleep, and I would find myself with, the best way to describe them is the cloud people. And the cloud people were quite unique looking. They didn't really look like the way I was familiar with people. I ended up actually seeing an artistic depiction that resembled them very much many, many years later when I was in high school taking art classes and we were doing art history. And I would describe how I saw the cloud people as looking an awful lot like Michelangelo's work, which was really odd. Like his angels, like just very robust and almost, on some level, a little bit deformed in terms of how accentuated the muscular physique was, and just, like just big. It was weird. When I saw it, I actually got the shivers the first time I saw one of his paintings, because I'd never seen what I had experienced in my mind or anywhere else. So sometimes I thought to myself, did Michelangelo see the cloud people? Did he see the cloud people? So what was really unusual about when I would go up to the cloud people is there was really nothing that I would do there. I would sit in the clouds and I would be surrounded by them. Now, I often felt kind of dominated though by them, and I've always tried to understand that as I've become more and more aware of my own spirituality and my own existence and the good and the bad and the dark and the light in existence. I've tried to understand that because I always felt quite dominated and unable to do anything but just sit there. And on some levels, it felt odd, like even a punishment, like sitting in the corner. But there was a part of me that felt like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. I would wake up from this and I would feel like quite disturbed. And, you have to remember too, I mean, this is I'm putting myself between the ages of 7 and 10. And I would wake up and I could feel them, almost like, the only way that even comes close to describing it, which isn't really even the least bit accurate, is, you know, if you've gotten a hug from someone who has like a lot of heavy cologne or perfume or body odor or something on them, and that lingers on you for like a long time and you're trying to get it off, maybe wash yourself, you can't get that off. Like the experience with that person is gone. But energetically, they were still on me. And I would sit in bed at night as a child and I would just try to ground myself, right? Again, I didn't have a word for that back then. This would have been the late 1970s, early 1980s. Stuff wasn't really talked about. It wasn't talked about where I grew up anyways. So I also had really no guidance in these things. But I would lay in bed as long as I could and eventually realize I can't shake this. Like I need to move, almost as if like I need to get up and aerate myself and get the perfume or the cologne or the body odor off. And then I would usually find myself in the bathroom, in the house of the bathroom, and I would just sit on the cold porcelain toilet with my feet on the cold floor and usually just sit with like my elbows on my legs and my hands in my face in my hands. And breathe and try to focus on what I could feel around me, because as an adult, it almost felt like in some ways I crossed like a dimension and then I came back, but I was still partially caught in that dimension. And I know it sounds odd. I don't know if anyone else has ever experienced anything like that. It's definitely not an out-of-body experience because I've had those and it's not even close to what this was. And that went on, I would say, till I was about 10. It stopped around the same time that I started getting severe migraine headaches, like debilitating and really quite often to the point that my parents were concerned and I had to go for all these head scans and all sorts of things and blood work because, you know, everyone was worried that something had happened. Actually, just another point in that is a couple of other readers that I've talked to over the last few years have had similar things happen to them. So I sort of, a part of me thinks that might be a side effect for some people that are, you know, quite psychic or kind of easily slip in and out of different dimensions or whatever you want to call it, as the brain is growing and changing. I eventually grew out of them, thank goodness, and nothing was wrong with me. But it's a part of my life I'd never want to go back to, that's for sure. But I stopped visiting the cloud people. And I actually was really happy. I was really happy I stopped visiting the cloud people. So I really haven't thought about them too much. I mean, I think about them off and on, once in a while. I think I mentioned it once to San from San Tarot a couple years ago when we were a little more active with each other through text and whatnot. Because I guess I was curious, like had asked, I don't remember if I had asked her, have you ever had anything like this? I don't think she had, but she's also had like a lot of her other own personal experiences that are also quite different from mine. So, but when I watched the video of the clouds, it was quite disturbing for me because I saw the cloud people. And I don't want to say that I necessarily saw like the figures of them, how I recognized them as a child. I saw their energy and it bothered me. I thought, why am I seeing that? This didn't feel like, you know, it was an ominous video, which we'll get to actually, because the clouds that we saw coming in actually were kind of bad clouds that were the beginning of something that happened here in Ontario. So I was looking back on all of that and thinking like, what the heck? Who are these cloud people? And, well, you're not going to quite get a message from the cloud people. So I've probably already changed the title of this, yes. You're going to get a message from beyond the cloud people. Because I understand the cloud people now to be souls, energies that are trapped between earth and heaven, the cosmos, however you want to define that. And they seek your energy. They seek it through fear. They seek it through control. And I still don't really know why I was visiting them as a child. And perhaps it was just my own mind still being quite young and youthful. And my little old soul inside experimenting with the body it had to work with. And going somewhere that perhaps I shouldn't have gone to. And then once I went there, I had an energetic connection that they were able to kind of summon, maybe? To summon. Yeah. So, anyways, those clouds were the beginning of what became quite an intense and destructive and deadly storm here in Ontario. Only a few hours later. Yeah, and I'm thinking about that because, you know, some of the comments too in that video, people saw some really scary and evil faces. And I think one person said, it's actually disturbing me when I'm seeing them in clouds. Not everything was, and not everything is, right? Like there isn't always just something evil or controlling or benevolent. No, yes, benevolent or malicious coming through. But gosh, up to this point, like 10 people have died now in that storm that was leading up to it, and hundreds of thousands of people are without power. I was quite lucky where I was. I was up at my mom's, and a few hours after doing that video, my son and I went down to the lake and we went kayaking. We were kayaking. I had my phone with me, luckily. I'm sitting hearing the sound. I'm like, what's going on? It's coming from my phone. So I opened up the sealed hatch, and it's an emergency alert from the environment department to seek shelter. There's a serious storm coming in. And I said, then we got to get ashore. It can't be good. Like, it's very rare that we would get something like that here. And luckily, I mean, we just got some fairly high winds and a lot of rain and some thunder. But in some parts, it was quite destructive. And very sadly, at least 10 people now have lost their lives from trees coming down on them. It was, so it's been quite an awakening weekend for me. Because there was a part of me that always felt like there was something to not be trusted about the cloud people. And then I saw them when I watched the video. I didn't even edit that video or anything. Like, I didn't have my laptop with me. I recorded it on my phone and I uploaded it from my phone. So it wasn't like I'd moved it to my computer, went into my editing software as I do with these sorts of videos, and had a chance to see what was going on in it. I just uploaded it, and then once it was up, I thought, I'm gonna go, and once I was in the house and I couldn't hear the birds and everything, I'm gonna watch it. I'm watching it. Oh my God, what the fuck is that? It's the cloud people. So I feel like there's important times where we're meant to be distracted by nothing less than what is perhaps being said to us and what the message is. And visually, the clouds. To try to see beyond the clouds, actually. And isn't that even sort of profound in a way? This is one of the cards that came out in my investigation of the cloud people. My investigation of the clown people, they are clowns a bit, of the cloud people, pointed me more towards who governs the cloud people, which I thought was quite interesting. It wasn't what I expected, asking the question of who the cloud people were. I started to get an answer, and then I started to get stronger messages about who gatekeeps the cloud people. And, oh, I wish I'd looked it up. There's a Krista Berg song that's going on that actually clicked on in my head when I was sitting doing the cards that I pulled asking about the cloud people. Once I had most of the message pulled out. What is it called? It's a train. Lord, he's gone away. The Okay, it's a song about the devil and God playing a game of cards. All I keep hearing is, oh Lord, he's gonna win. Because the devil keeps pulling cards. The devil keeps pulling cards out of his sleeve and he's cheating, but God isn't cheating. And they're playing cards for 10,000 souls or something like that on a train that's about to crash. Whoa, even that is just weird considering the clouds and the storm that came in here. And I know a lot of people live in places like Hurricane Alley and tornado towns, and it's really not like that where I live. I live in kind of, well, I was in sort of, well, where I was, well, I would say it was the whole like southeastern part of Ontario. We might get a tornado once in a while, maybe once or twice in a whole season. Some seasons we won't get any. If remnants of a hurricane comes through, it's usually just like a lot of rain and a bit of wind. I actually personally can't think of the last time I heard that this many people died from what was, for all intents and purposes, a big thunderstorm. I think they're still investigating if any tornadoes came down. But how many people were killed by falling trees? And this Krista Berg song that's going through my head. I'll have to put a comment and pin it here. The link to it, I meant to look it up before I started this video, so I'm kind of kicking myself for doing that. Because there is this whole idea that, well, the devil's going to win because he's cheating. And if someone's cheating at the game, how is the truth, how is good going to win? So that song, and I keep hearing, oh Lord, he's gonna win. Yeah, I have to go back and listen to that song. I don't remember how it ends. So who are the cloud people? Oh, first I want to say too, please forgive my nails because I'm going to hold cards up. I was helping my mom garden and I was moving rocks and I've been trying to get it out from under my nails and I can't. It's Mother Earth is under my nails. So I know some people are just like, it bothers them. So I can't help you. I can't help you with that. These are the two cards that came out. I pulled from the Angel Area and the Mausolea. It's quite interesting. I was drawn to do that. I got Morgan Le Fay, the Witch of Ages, and I got Angel of Punishment. Are the two that came out. What was interesting was the underline. Do you see how both these cards are kind of associated with some sort of deception? And I mean, my Morgan Le Fay, I remember her as being like the half-sister of King Arthur. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, there is the sense of atonement, growth, and deceit and punishment. So I don't think I'm remembering this incorrectly. And Merlin helped share his magic with her, and she betrayed King Arthur. Anyways, there's something here about deceit, atonement, and punishment. The underline is the Morrigan, weaver of fate. Antipathy, introspection, opposition, angel of song, Israfel. The angel of song is a really interesting message. I've taken the time and kind of looked in the books, and it is basically Judgment Day is what this speaks of. It is Judgment Day, the angel of song. And so this to me is the energy of what that gatekeeps. We're going to get a repeat here, which really blew my mind too. I'm going to show you in a minute. Which gatekeeps the cloud people. The cloud people are, in some ways, people that have worked in deceit or lived lives based on a lot of deceit, manipulation. You know, there's a lot of, it's sort of a little bit biblical in a way, which I don't really mind. It's just religion. I take it all with a grain of salt. But there is definitely a sense of this in terms of like the souls waiting for the end of times. These I feel very strongly like the cloud people they are not incarnating again on earth, and they're not going towards the sun, which is really crazy, because I'm going to show you what happened when I wanted to clarify this. I thought, okay, I'm working with darker decks, so let's just see what I get when I pull from a deck that is much more light based. So I went to my combination deck, the Starseed Oracle and the Goddess Wisdom deck. And actually the one that below there is not what the underline was, because I shuffled it again and asked another question. Anyways, I'll show you in a minute. I got the Morrigan again. I got the Morrigan again. That's what came out when I asked for clarification. So the Morrigan came out twice in two completely different decks. And this is a huge mother of a deck. It's really big. And it came out as the Goddess Wisdom, from the Goddess Wisdom deck. Death and Magic, the Gatekeeper. She reminds me a lot too of the energy of Anubis, measuring the weight of one's heart. And if it is burdened or heavy with the energy of your lifetime experiences, you are not permitted to pass into the gates of heaven, because you cannot take that shit with you into heaven. So in some way, that's how I would describe the cloud people, are those that are waiting at the gate. And on some level, I feel like, just based on seeing them in those clouds before that storm came through, that they are somehow still able to manipulate energy, or I don't know. So what was really interesting is why I'm going to show you the card. I'm going to take me a second to find it. That was the underline when I pulled out the Morrigan. And there's a lot of cards here. I should have kept it, but I asked another question and I'm going to tell you what it was, and I'll show you what the cards were, and ended up with a different underline. Oh, there it is. So the underline for Death and Magic, the Morrigan, which to me feels a lot like the whole idea of Anubis and just gatekeeping between heaven and earth, was the sun. The sun. And the Morrigan herself is also described as the feminine. So we have yin and yang energy. The moon, the goddess of the moon. And one thing that I had read about her was that her breasts would give life to the nourishment to the living. And was it life to the dead? Or rebirth to the dead? So incredible, like incredible magic energy that's coming out, talking about, to me, gatekeeping the cloud people. It's not what I expected to receive as a message. Oh, and then, okay, so this was, oh, this card came out too. I was thinking, yeah, because it's part of, is it? No, which deck? Oh, it was this one. Sorry, I was just pulling out decks. I wasn't really rhyme or reasoning. I was just asking questions and pulling. So, clarification again. This one, what is this one called? Dark Goddess. This is the Dark Goddess deck. And because I got Death and Magic with Morrigan, I thought, oh my God. Okay, let's go back to a dark deck. And Coercion, came out. So again, like this is manipulating people for the benefit of oneself. You know, it's not the best. And it often can be strong-handed, you know, coercion, kind of the difference I want to say between persuasive and coercive to me would be like persuading someone. Oh, come on, you know, come on. Where this is like strong arming someone, or like really more like devilish energy. And then trust and appearance. So trust and appearance. That's when I asked, what is earth? Because then I was trust and appearance. Trust and appearance was the underline. So, right, Medusa. This all comes together quite interesting. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Coercion, trust, and appearance. So not everything is as it seems. Because I asked what earth was. I was feeling like I was getting something about earth here. Like the connection that I was with Morgan with death and magic. That she was gatekeeping for the heavens. Right? Not allowing this energy to move into heaven, but it was also not being allowed to come back to earth. Trust and appearance. So then I asked, oh yeah, that's why. Okay, though this Dark Goddess deck is combined with my God and Titan deck. Is that what I did? Remember? Anyway, so I got ecstasy for what is earth. Ecstasy, patterns. I'm just going to show you. Longing for home, homesick for the stars, and adaptability. Well, the message that kept coming in for me for earth was, earth is a place of, yes, ecstasy. It can be a place of excess. It is a place where patterns are repeated over and over again. And there are only tiny little hiccups in these patterns that eventually lead to different things. And this is what the adaptability comes in, like adapting, homesick for the stars. This being involved in ecstasy, it's, I want to say at one point it almost felt like I was getting some sort of a message that like all of us here are in some way here because we made some sort of a choice to leave some sort of more of to leave a divine path or to leave divinity. But I almost imagine the Big Bang as being that, you know, and talking about like we're all the essence of God and we're all come from one source. And in many mythology, it's the idea that God's source fragmented self and went out into the cosmos. And each one of us are that experience to eventually come back. So that's what that feels like. But it's almost as if once you live a life of too much ecstasy or live a life of too much excess in some way, that's almost the trigger point perhaps where you feel like you don't have anything that you really wanted or you were looking for with this longing for home, homesick for the stars. And then that's when the adaptability sets in. Okay, so pulling that is when I then ended up with the 7 star sisters as the underline and surrender to the sweetness. Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. Birthing creations, tapestry of life and expression. And this is more like the divine part compared to what I was pulling out when I was talking about the cloud people. The cloud people are definitely not someone I'm allowed to talk to. I got that message pretty clear. But I'm definitely allowed to talk to the energy that gatekeeps the Morgan, she's right here. I want to say Morgan, Anubis, any other deities, gods, goddesses, mythology that speaks of this energy. Oh, this is, okay, so this is really interesting. So then I wanted to know, me being like sympathetic, well, what's going to happen to the cloud people on Judgment Day or whatever, you know, when we all go to heaven or wherever we go back to source. This is the card that came out. Oh, there's a lot of underline here. This is where I stopped with this, but I guess there's adjacent possibilities. Rest and rejuvenation, a new earth, and love. They will always be guided in love. No soul is ever lost, I heard. I just thought that was so beautiful. Everything will return to source, sun. So I ended up with sun coming out twice. And Morrigan coming out twice. Moon goddess energy. It's just beautiful. So, and then I asked one more question. I asked, how do we move beyond the clouds? How do we move beyond the clouds? How do we not become one of the cloud people? And this is the card. So then I went right to the Archangel deck. I thought if anyone's going to give us answers, the Archangels. Raziel came out for us here. And he says, I am bringing you esoteric information and symbols and helping you understand spiritual truths. I love that. Moving beyond the deceit, manipulation, coercion. And the underline was teaching and learning. When you learn a lesson, you pass it on. When you find yourself needing something, learn the lesson. Receive it from someone. And this is Archangel Zachiel. Keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. So you're never meant to benefit from something that you've learned without passing it on. You really are not. And that's kind of why I do these. Because I could just sit and do these. This could have just been for me. Like, well, this is interesting. This is not what I thought, but it's so profound. But it just doesn't seem right. Anyway, I know that I'm doing some sort of atonement by doing this for past lives. I know this. And maybe even having been a bit of a Morgan Le Fay in the past, I don't know. But so that's what I pulled here. Who the cloud people are. But more importantly, who gatekeeps the cloud people and would like to talk to you. So talk to all of us. I'm very curious and I'm very excited. I think I will pull out, I will always keep a Morrigan out for the cloud people readings. Beyond the cloud people. That's what we'll call it. Beyond the cloud people. The gates of the clouds. I don't even know. I have to come up with something. And, where's the fine man? Anubis. Where is he? I know he's in here. Because that's what this reminds me of. The energy of, no, that's Toth. I think he's in this deck. Well, he must be. It's only God and Titan deck I have. So, I'm now going to turn this off. Well, no, you're just going to see a fade. And you're going to see how Beyond the Cloud People readings come to you. You're about to experience that. Oh, where is he? Well, anyways, I'll bring him out for the reading. He's hiding. Well, maybe. That's so odd. Ah, there he is. Looking sassy. There he is. He's looking sassy. All right. Oh, I love they're both in purple. Oh, that's awesome. Crown chakra. Purple. So, get ready for your first reading. It's not asking any questions. I'm just going to open this up to the gatekeepers. I guess it's the gatekeepers to heaven. In a way, gatekeepers to the ethereal. Yeah, and just see what comes out. All right, guys, catch you on the other side. Okay, guys, I'm here, Cindy. I'm going to do your reading. I'd like you to just take a moment and relax. Just relax into this reading. I know this isn't the kind of reading that I've ever done before or asked any of you anything like this. But these are moments where these beyond the clouds, beyond the cloud people readings, Um, I've been told that it is important for you to focus and see what is presented to you visually, how it may or may not correlate to something that you're hearing or a message that you're receiving. You may get confirmation in any images that appear in the clouds. Anything that you just instinctively or intuitively feel. You will hear me throughout this reading. I'm going to shuffle cards out like I normally would. You're going to hear all of that. You're going to hear me talking, just like I normally would talk for any of my other divinated readings. I'm going to let you know what I'm using in this reading. I am using the my combined deck of the Starseed Oracle and the Goddess Wisdom deck. I've also pulled out my Wizard's Tarot deck, my Heaven and Earth deck, and my teeny tiny Everyday Witch Tarot deck. So I'm going to start with the combo deck of the Starseed and the Goddess Wisdom. I'm looking at Anubis and Morrigan, and we're opening up to the Gatekeepers a message. What is the message? What is the theme of the first, I want to say, message of contact beyond the clouds? Activated earth, power places, ley lines, trust where you're led, you got the love, Hadrian energy, codependency, and boundaries. Some of you are going to be led away from things that are in your life right now because they do not serve your higher good. There may be some level of resistance to this because there's a codependency that is triggered in you regarding this, and this codependency I don't feel is necessarily of the more stereotypical codependency of, you know, romantic relationships or children with parents. Or this feels like it has something to do with crossing a boundary for yourself that will empower you. But when we do that, we also take responsibility for the path that lays ahead of us. That's interesting. So there's actually 4 cards that came out, and I just read you the first 2, and I put the other 2 down and didn't really look at them at first because I just wanted to channel the message that came in immediately with the first 2. So once we say, you know, you've got this, codependency, boundaries, you get the courageous peony and revelation. Multifaceted, unique nature. Let yourself be seen and revelation. It really feels as though once this boundary is crossed for you, once some sort of level of codependency is, I'm just sort of hearing like stripped off of yourself, whether that is your consciousness, your subconscious. There's something working here. Trust where you're led. Trust where you're being taken. It does feel like some of you may be kicking and screaming a little bit with a direction that the universe is perhaps guiding you, or circumstances and situations are playing out in a way that it feels it just goes against what you want. But I do feel as though that there is some level of ego that resists this. You have more courage than you allow yourself to believe. There is something for you to discover on the other side of something that you are being asked to let go of. Something that you are codependent of in this lifetime right now. Once you move beyond that, you are going to see something. You are going to hold it in your hands in a way that it is so blatantly obvious. It was always there, but you didn't see it. And in the codependency card, there are, it's an interesting image, there are many faces on all from one woman, looking in different directions and all blending into each other. And for some of you, it feels like you have gone in directions with certain choices based on what others wanted for you, or what you perhaps even convinced yourself of wanting at some point. I'm going to see what the underline is of that deck. Secrets. Wow. And that is it. You have the Secrets card. That's quite interesting to have that, as the Revelation card was the last one that came out. I do feel that Morrigan, Anubis, the Gatekeeper beyond the clouds, I do feel like there is more that they wish to show you than what can be shown to you at this time. It feels as though there are things around you, or there's something around you in your day-to-day life, in some choice that you've made, that does not line up with your divine path. This information, this new course of direction, whatever this revelation will be to you, it can't be shown to you if you continue to look or cling to something, either from your past, or there's some sort of codependency. This codependency could even be just, well, my parents have always done this, so it feels, I just feel comfortable doing this because that's what's always been done. You are being asked to move out of your comfort zone. You know, if you think about that, it's really interesting, because I've moved completely out of my comfort zone to do a video like this, to do a reading like this, because this is like nothing I've ever done before. But I was so strongly moved to do it, and then as I sat down to do it and put everything together, nothing stood in my way, and it just kind of gave me, you know, physical, factual evidence to show me that yes, you were supposed to do this. I feel like that will happen for you as you move forward in some sort of decision. The picture that I'm looking at with Morrigan, her eyes are not centered in this artwork. They are both kind of moving outwardly. One is, the right eye is moving to the outside on the right, and the left eye is moving to the outside on the left. And I'm really drawn to that because the You've Got Love card is where all those faces from the same person are going in different directions. It's almost as if the energy, the Gatekeeper of Morrigan, is watching you going in two different directions. So Spirit's waiting for you to make a choice. Waiting for you to make a choice that leads to your courage, your unique nature, and allowing yourself to be seen in a way that you've not been seen before, perhaps. There might be a secret that you're holding as well. The secret could be something about you, who you are, as opposed to how you allow others to see you. Going to the Wizard's deck. Wow. You have the King of Pentacles under activated Earth, which is quite interesting. You've got the Love, Codependency, Boundaries, the King of Swords. The Courageous Peony is the Hermit. And Revelation is the Eight of Wands. The underline is the Ace of Wands, and that's all. There's definitely something that you were initially led to in life. You've created quite a bit through this course, through this path, that you've taken. I see the door is open and asking you to proceed forward, but your back is to the door. So there is some hesitation. The stairway, the way the cards are laying down, the stairway leads to Stonehenge, which is interesting. There's an activation through an archway, a path. Currently, for some of you, your back is to the path. There might be something you feel you need to complete. There might be something you feel you need to finalize. Codependency and boundaries, you have the King of Swords. For some of you, this is a very strong boundary. For some of you, not even Morrigan can cross this boundary. It almost feels like a boundary that is created through the writings of possibly human law and ethereal law, because you stand so strongly with this. It does feel on some level a very strong, strict choice that you make at this time, because nothing is set in stone, is keeping you in some sort of codependent situation. The King of Pentacles, that could be work. And that's a very difficult one to release, obviously, for many obvious reasons. Safety, security. You will be going in a direction you haven't gone in before with the Courageous Peony and the Hermit. And you walk right to your revelation. The King of Swords stares me down with this codependency. His sword is pulled out and he's ready to use it. For some of you, this might be what it feels like to go up against what you might be involved in that is codependent. It might feel like it's something that you can't cross. But yet the Hermit walks to the side and walks away. And he walks directly towards revelation and the Eight of Wands. Magic, magic. Oh, there is a repeat image here. The Revelation card and Morrigan are both holding magic in their hands. It definitely is magic. There is some sort of magic. But you can't find this magic with the King of Pentacles and the King of Swords. You do need to find it on your own. And it takes you beyond the doorways and out the window. Definitely a revelation energy with the Ace of Wands as your underline. I'm going into Heaven and Earth Tarot. There's a level of magic here in your future that cannot push beyond. I feel it is some sort of written law, energetic law of earth that you have governed yourself with. This magic can't pass that. If there's some sort of a sign you've been looking for, you know, God, give me a sign. Universe, show me the way. There's something that you need to release before that can be shown. With the King of Pentacles, we have the High Priestess. With the King of Swords, we have the Three of Pentacles. With the Hermit, we have the Page of Wands. See, this feels like on your way to the message, to the revelation to be shared with you. The Eight of Wands is the Four of Pentacles. Oh, you have the Ace of Wands at the bottom again. Wow, guys, talk about inspiration on the cusp. On the cusp of inspiration. On the cusp of receiving the message, the sign that you're looking for. You may not even know what it is. You may just even have a feeling that I feel like there's something coming. There's something coming up for me. There's something that I'm meant to do. There's somewhere I'm supposed to be. Or something is supposed to unfold for me. You really can't see it in this King of Pentacles energy. And the King of Pentacles just, yes, because you have the Four of Pentacles is what we end with. And it is called, in this deck, Heaven and Earth, it is called earthly power. So it's hanging on to what is real for you right now. Hanging on to what is real for you right now. Hanging on to your own achievement. Hanging on to how that grounds you. And hanging on to what keeps you in place. Trust where you're led with the High Priestess. It may not even make sense to where you're about to be led to, what path is about to unfold for you. There is something that you do where I want to say it's as if the heavens shine down on you. With this, you put your work into something here on earth and the heavens do shine down on you. That is probably in some ways more clear to you than what the magic will be that will be shown to you. And the magic might be hard to believe when it unfolds. So it does really talk about courage and faith here. Burn a path. I really see here burning a path with this Page of Wands or Princess of Wands. Burning a path forward. Exercising your own magic is, it's as if it's the doorway. It's the meeting Morrigan halfway at the precipice of a new beginning. If you don't show up at the door, she can't step beyond. Because I am seeing her as the gatekeeper. You have to step forward. And that's what gives permission for Morrigan to step in and show you the magic. But I'm not going to lie, with this Four of Pentacles here, I feel like some of you won't be ready. Some of you might be hesitant. Some of you may not want to let go of something that you've achieved, accumulated. I'm just going to get into the teeny tiny tarot. Let's look at Revelation. Revelation. The Hierophant and the Queen of Wands. Wow. There's something creative for you. Something creative that you can do. That is part of like a higher calling. It is, And it's meant for you to take this magic and ground it here on earth with the Hierophant. You are the outlet of, so it is in heaven, shall it be on earth. Taking that energy and creating something with that. But this is unique, and this is a spark that turns into something much bigger. It grows. But it takes confidence, courage, the courageous peony. The Eight of Wands. The Queen of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. See, now this takes us, this is the energy that then starts to lead us towards earthly power, which is that Four of Pentacles. Is it a shift? Could there be, is there a chance that you take here in terms of your material success, your material gains? This Four of Pentacles. The Five of Pentacles and the Ten of Swords. There's a very strong instinct within some of you to protect yourself from hard times, to protect yourself from being defeated. And I feel like you have that because you've been through very hard times. You have been through situations where you have felt lack. You have felt like you didn't have a friend you could trust. But it does feel like Morgan is just asking you to trust yourself and your own magic. The Courageous Peony. The Four of Cups or the Two of Pentacles. It does feel a bit like perhaps distracting ourselves with, you know, the day-to-day things that need to get done instead of thinking about past heartache, hardships, disappointments. The Hermit. Giving yourself time. The High Priestess. Wow. So, I want to say that it does feel as though there's something around you. You know, it could be someone that you see every day when you go to work. It could be just energetically where your work is situated. It could be a place that you go to every day to get coffee. Because we're talking about power places and ley lines. Trust where you're led. I feel as though you were led somewhere in the past, and that is where you are right now, or you go there frequently. You frequent this place. You were meant to do it because you were meant to create something with that energy. You were meant to create something new in the future here. And it is unknown to you. We only have sort of hints and droplets of information about it being a higher calling, the display of magic. It takes courage to do this. And when you utilize your own courage to do something, you become courageous on the other end of that project, whatever it was. There's another place where you're being led to go. And this place has something to do with Morgan. It has something to do with the gates opening. The Page of Wands. The Ace of Wands came out. Shit, guys, you got the Ace of Wands 3 times. Definitely a message, an inspiration. Some of you, maybe you're meant to write a book. Maybe some of you are meant to write a song. Maybe some of you are meant to do a creative PowerPoint. I don't know. But there's something here that you are meant to do, but you have to trust, and there's something that you have to walk away from. I'm going to clarify one more card, and that is the King of Swords. I'm curious about him sitting here with the codependency and boundaries. It could be that if there's something that you are codependent of as well, and you will not release it, the universe will do it for you. The King of Swords. Whoa. That's it. The Death card and the Hanged Man. If you're familiar with the Everyday Witches Tarot, the Death card is the Grim Reaper. A rope sits in front of him that is pulled quite taut, and there is just a fragment of that rope left, and his sword is drawn out across his chest, ready to strike it. He is holding his sword in exactly the same hand as the King of Swords is, in exactly the same position. Something is going to be cut out if you don't do it for yourself. You are observing, watching, but you are in this state. You are observing things outside of yourself more than inside of yourself, because the Hanged Man is now sitting beside the Hermit, which is where you're being asked to go with your energy. That's enough observation. It's time to find your path. The Knight of Wands and the Star and the Knight of Cups and the Three of Pentacles and the Fool. It feels, these are the underlying, it feels as though many of you have been fighting this path for quite some time. On the other side of this feeling defeated and exhausted is healing, is the Star, is connecting heaven and earth. It is moving forward with a sense of freedom. A sense of freedom in that it almost seems as if you can come and go as you please, and yet engage with other energies as you please as well. There's no boundaries here. There's no codependency in these cards. It's just a sense of a new beginning. Again, death and magic with Morrigan. So that's what I have here for this reading for you. I wasn't sure if I would, but I think I will. I think I'm going to create an extended for this. I'm going to use different cards. And I think this will be for those that are most struggling with choosing a path right now. I think that's where we're going to go, because it's going to be more for guidance over there in the extended. So thank you very much, guys. Until next time, do be gentle with yourselves. Bye.